Hi guys. Welcoming you back and all of your wonderful imperfections with the hope that you will allow me mine while I get the knack of this whole making videos thing. Today, what I wanted to talk about and teach you about is what it means to settle in. So it's been my experience that on the many occasions I've searched for guided meditations online, a whole lot of videos start off by saying settle in, and that's all the instruction they give before they go on to other things. And they don't particularly explain what that means for the newbies who might be watching or listening. And I understand that a lot of the times the teachers are leading those who are already aware of what to do, but it's actually quite foundational to the practice and important to know. I've also looked for other videos like these, the one I'm making, and I can't seem to find one. So I thought I might make this public instead of just for my friends while I practice doing this thing that I'm trying to do. I think that without this foundational knowledge, you could sit there pretty lost trying to do something you've not been taught to do properly, even with a sincere interest. So I hope that this will help open you up and get you going on your path. Um, so what I'm going to try to help you understand today could be considered in itself a form of relaxation meditation. And aside from that, on its own, what we're trying to really do here is relax into ourselves and be in our bodies and nowhere else when we can help it. There's a teacher I know named Rebecca Bradshaw, and she refers to the settling in as finding your home base, which I like. It's yours to go to anytime you wish, once you know how to get there. And it's the foundation for like many other ways of meditating, which we won't get into today. I just want to work with this one thing right now. So, just going to get into it and give you a little guided meditation. I'm going to teach you how to relax in the way that I do it. You can totally play with this. It doesn't have to be just the way I do it. I just found that this was what worked for me, and I still do it this way. When I first started doing it, it took me, I would give it like, I don't know, 20 minutes, half an hour, just doing this thing that I'm going to teach you. And now, after 8 years of practice, I literally 5 seconds, and I'm where I arrive to where I need to be. So as for how you can sit or what your posture is, you could do this laying down. I don't think that's a good way to start off because it's easy to get tired and maybe just want to roll over and go to sleep. You could sit on the floor like on a cushion behind me, which I'm not going to use today. As I'm getting used to making these videos, I want to be close to my computer. I have a barky dog and cats that like to knock things over and stuff like that, and I don't want to edit these videos too much, so I'll just stick in my computer chair. Um, Sometimes when we're sitting, we can have pains in the body, so you don't have to sit there and be miserable. Find something that works for you. You just want to be sitting upright to start off with, and you only need to really be alert enough to, I'm sorry, you only need to be like upright enough to stay alert. Um, Otherwise, we're going to try to relax the whole body. I have a lot of pain in my shoulders and my arms, and when they relax, they kind of drop down, and it makes all the nerve issues that I have freak out. So the way I normally like to sit is on a zafu and zabuton on the floor, like on a cushion. I feel like sitting on the floor is a bit humbling. That might be a little frou-frou, but I just like it. And to kind of deal with the pain in my arms, I usually stick a pillow in my lap and I rest my arms on top of it, and that makes them less likely to hurt. So I'm going to sit at my computer desk and just rest my arms on my desk. And so We can start out by finding that upright position. Uh, Feet flat on the floor. You can rest your hands in your lap or whatever's comfortable for you. Close your eyes. Take a couple deep breaths. There's this thing you can do so that you swallow a little bit less. You put your tongue right behind your front teeth here. Close your mouth and then swallow, and it kind of like makes a little suction. So it's just sort of one less thing to like worry about. Uh, so what I would like you to do is to focus your attention on the very top of your head. And now you might not be able to feel the top of your head, but just imagining it kind of works the same way. So let's rest our attention on the top of our head. And as we take our in breath, let's rest, like pay attention to that. And on the out breath, consciously like relax that area, whatever area that you're setting your focus on. So let's say we're doing at the top of our head and our forehead. Let's just take a few breaths, and on that in breath, be aware of those areas, and on the out breath, consciously relax. After a few breaths, or whenever you feel ready, you can move down to your eyes and your nose and the top of your cheeks. And now, resting your attention on that area on that in breath. On the out breath, I still want you to start at the top of your head, but relax down to where you are now in your attention. So every breath out, relax from the top of your head down to, let's say, your nose, wherever you're resting your attention. So we'll do that for a few breaths. You can move down your ears and your cheeks and your mouth and your jawline. Rest your attention there. On every in-breath, just pay attention to that area. And on every out-breath, still start from the top of your head and just relax all the way down to your chin. You can move down your neck, the back of your head, back of your neck, top of your shoulders. Rest your attention there. You can move down to your shoulders and the top of your back, your clavicle area, tops of your arms. Now on every out breath, I'm still starting at the top of my head and relaxing all the way down to my shoulders. It doesn't have to be slow. It can just be, a quick pass over those areas that you've already hit. You can rest your attention maybe down to your elbows now. Give that a few breaths. Relax your arms, your shoulders. You can move down your forearms. And your wrists and hands and fingers. You can put your awareness on your chest and your upper back. And now, as we go down the back, it's important to keep your back upright enough that you're alert and awake. You don't want to slump over. You don't want to have bad posture. But you also don't have to be tightly upright, because if you sit that way, it's going to sort of contract other muscles, and it's not necessary. You only need to sit up straight enough to be alert. So maybe you can take a few breaths and see what that feels like for you, and find that sort of comfortable posture where you're not straining to be upright, but you're not slumping over. You can move down your back, down your rib cage. Every in-breath, the awareness of your area of attention. Every out-breath, relaxing your body down to that area. You can loosen your belly. Let it kind of hang out there. Your lower back. Move down to your hips and the top of your pelvis. Move down further in your base and feel your butt. Feel your butt touching the chair on all the touch points, back of your thighs. You can rest your attention there and give it a few breaths and just relax. What it sort of feels like as I'm relaxing on all those out breaths from the very top of my head now down to my thighs, it's kind of like a quick little body scan. And just at the end of that scan, it's just relaxing into it just a little more. You move down your thighs to your knees. You can go below the knees into the calves, down to your ankles. And your feet and your toes. And let's just rest here for a moment and just keep on sort of, now you know we've covered the whole body, so maybe you can try to feel your whole body at once. And still on those out breaths, just relax into it best you can. I found in the beginning that I would tighten up so quickly that it was really helpful to just keep starting over at the top of my head and then, intermittently doing these little scans of the body. So what we're going to do now is we're going to choose an anchor. And what I'm going to work with and teach you how to work with is with your breath. It's one of the easiest things that you can pay attention to. So there's many places you might feel your breath. For instance, you might feel it at the outside of your nostrils going in and out. You might feel it higher up in your nose or in the back of, say, your throat up here. I find that when I get into a relaxed state, I can't really feel my breath. So what I pay attention to is the actual rise and fall of my belly, or the rise and fall of my chest, but mostly I stay on my belly. And so I'm going to ask you to put your attention wherever it is that you feel that you can feel your breath the most. So for instance, if it's your nostrils, stay with the nostrils. If it's the rise and fall of your belly, stay with the rise and fall of your belly. And what I want you to notice is that there's a beginning, a middle, and an end to each breath. And I want you to try to be with that breath as closely as possible. Your mind might be thinking, it might be asking you what the hell you're doing. You might be paying attention to the breath, and in 5 seconds you're gonna kind of wake up and realize that your mind took a walk and that you're no longer with your breath. It's totally okay. It's totally normal. What I'd like you to do whenever you realize that you're thinking is to just kindly go back to your breath. Just drop whatever you're thinking about and just go right back to your breath. There's a couple ways that you can do that. I usually say something to myself like, "That's cool, Tara, but we're paying attention to the breath now." And I'll just go back to my breath over and over again. So every time you realize you're thinking, just be kind to yourself and don't judge yourself, but just go right back to the breath, right back to that anchor that you've chosen. And I'll give us a couple minutes to try to concentrate on that. So what's happening for me right now is that in the foreground, I'm very concentrated on my breath, but I can feel my whole body sort of in the background. I can feel where my feet are touching the floor. Those are called touch points, or that's what I've heard them called. I can feel the chair where it meets the back of my knees and all of my thighs and my butt and my lower back. It's just something to notice in the background while you stay with your breath, that your body's there and that it's connecting to other things. It's connecting you to the rest of the world with those touch points. You don't have to think about those things right now, but just sort of be aware that it's happening. Every once in a while, it's helpful to just call it checking in with myself. Give your body a little scan and just see if anything is tensed up or if you're not very relaxed in a certain place anymore, and just take a few breaths and consciously relax that part of you that might be tense. Now, it might take you a little longer if you're just starting out, but I already feel like I've already really arrived in my body. I feel very present inside. There's no autopilot. I feel sort of my entire body, and I feel like, oh, this is my home base. This is who I am when I'm not having to do anything or having to go anywhere or having to put my personality forth. I don't have to be anybody. I don't have to fix anything or solve anything. I'm just resting in my body, and I'm nowhere else, just here. It's okay to move if you need to move, but I'd ask that if you do need to move, try to see if you can find the intention to move before you actually move. So let's say you have an itch on your arm, and it's actually good to try to ignore that at first, but if it just won't go away and you just need to itch your arm, just kind of recognize, like, oh, I'm about to move my arm. Sort of looking at, our bodies, they do so many things just on their own. It's really helpful when we can sort of see our intentions before we move. It just sort of puts us that much more into our own bodies. Staying with the breath as best as you can, coming back to it every time you realize that you're thinking. speaking to yourself gently, not saying, oh, you got lost again. Just a non-judgmental little return to the breath. So this is what it means to settle in. Find your home base, the foundation from which most of your practice is going to spring from. So staying with the breath, returning to it every time you realize you're thinking. Every few moments, just doing a little check-in with yourself and seeing if any areas have tightened up, and just giving a few breaths and conscious attention to relax that part of you before going back to your breath. It's basically the essence of this, of where you're going to rest while you practice anything else. I'm going to ask you to open your eyes, but not yet. When you feel ready, I would like you to open your eyes, but first find that intention. You might have to imagine where it is swimming up in that brain or whatever, but just knowing that you intend on opening your eyes before you actually open your eyes. And that is how we settle in. I just did this, well, I guess it's a half an hour. It's not that short, but you could practice this for longer. There's a lot I want to tell you about all of the small things that you're training yourself to do just by doing what we just did. And I know I talked a lot sort of through it to remind you what to do, but I know that that's what I needed sort of when I first started. Because it's weird to just sit down and be quiet and do nothing and rest your attention on this like particular point. So yeah, if you want to practice this on your own, I would suggest maybe 15 minutes a day. And like I said in the last video, it's much more helpful to practice for a small amount every day, and instead of like not practicing and then like this giant amount whenever you find the time. It's not very helpful. So 15 minutes a day, maybe a half an hour, 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes at night, or even if you had a stressed out day, you could come home and try this and practice it and see how long you can sit for, half an hour, 45 minutes. And you might feel really good afterwards, after a long day at work on your feet and things like that. So I encourage you to play with that. I also encourage you to play with the breath and seeing where you feel it the most. Maybe you did it this one way this time, and the next time you can find a way that works better for you. So you can totally play with that. Um, like I said, there's a lot of stuff I want to tell you about what you're training yourself to do, but I would prefer to let you just try this out and maybe practice for like a week or even a week and a half, 2 weeks, and then I'd like to talk to you about it, because I have the idea that you will understand so much better what I try to tell you after you've experienced some of this practice for yourself. So it's hard for me to do, but I'm going to leave it at that. Um, I hope that you found some enjoyment in the experience, and if it felt interesting and something that you think you really want to try, like I said, I'd advise you to give it 15 minutes a day. Go longer if you want to, but I really think that's an adequate start. And it's hard for me not to want to say more, so I'm going to end this video now. But if you have any questions at all, please just ask away. I'm happy to share the stuff with you and talk about it. And I just want to mention that my meditation teacher had me do this for every day for 2 months before he told me anything else. He had me just doing this for 2 months. So I probably won't wait that long to introduce you to something else. But yeah, I'm going to have to end this here because there's a whole lot more talking I want to do. So thank you for watching. I hope that you're getting something from this, or that you will get something from this. You can hit me up anytime if you have questions or comments. I hope you're having a good day, and I love you. Mwah. Take care.